how Chris Holtman is viewing every game in the Big Ten tournament, what is needed for the Buckeyes to beat Penn State tonight, and a little insight into what happened leading up to Sevyn Banks entering the transfer portal. All that and more right here on Locked on Buckeyes.
You are Locked on Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked on Buckeyes for the Locked on Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Thursday, March the 10th in the year 2022, and today's episode is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Bet Online, where the game starts. I would also like to thank everyone out there for making Locked on Buckeyes their first listen of every single day. Ohio State opens Big Ten conference tournaments played today, and this is a great time for the Buckeyes to build confidence. In the very first game, they're going to play a team in Penn State that only has 13 wins on the season. They're a team that has struggled, or they are a team that Ohio State swept this year, as Ohio State won both times these two met on the court. Last night, the Big Ten tournament got underway by Northwestern beating Nebraska by 2 points, and then Minnesota losing to Penn State 51-60. These two games last night were a great appetizer or teaser for what's going to happen today all the way through Sunday afternoon. The final game before Selection Sunday is the Big Ten Conference Championship game. Yes, Ohio State would love to be there in back-to-back years, and unlike last year, Ohio State would love to win this year's conference tournament. Well, I do think Chris Holtman, the way that he is viewing these games, it's very important not only for him to view it this way, but for him to find a way to portray this thought into the minds, into the play of every player on the basketball team. Chris Holtman, a direct quote from him when speaking to the media, and I think it's perfect for what's going to happen over the next few days in Gainbridge Fieldhouse in downtown Indianapolis. Quote, every game will be a challenge, end quote. Direct from the coach's mouth, quote, every game will be a challenge, end quote. Now, you may say, Jay, that's elementary. Of course, every game is going to be a challenge. You're playing in a tournament. At the end of said tournament, there's going to be a trophy. And we know how people are. People want to be rewarded, and they want an award for their performance. If you run through a tournament, no matter if you play 3 games, 4 games, or you play all 5 games possible in this tournament, if you win the tournament, you want rewarded. You want an award. You want a trophy to take back to your school to say, hey, in this tournament, we won this. And Chris Holtman knows he has had to answer questions, some tough questions from media members, not only after games, but also throughout the week as well. It is something that Chris Holtman knows that if he doesn't take these games serious, if he doesn't view these as a challenge, if he just says, oh, it's just another day. Oh, it's a walk in the park. Oh, let's go to the beach, walk on the beach. Me and my girlfriend are just going to walk toes in the sand and have a good old time. That's not the proper way to view these games. The Big Ten tournament, it's huge. It's a luxury for teams in the Big Ten that they don't have to win the tournament to get into the big dance. But there are conferences all throughout college basketball that their automatic bid and the only bid they get into the big dance is winning their conference tournament. And we have seen these schools playing in their conference championship games starting last week and all through this week so far. These lower level conference championship games, they are so excited to watch. And one reason they're excited to watch, they're on home campus. You're playing at your home stadium, and there are fans in there that are loud, that are wild, they're crazy, they're raucous. And they're the kind of fans Buckeye fans need to be if they're going to be in Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana, to watch the Big Ten tournament. I hope Chris Holtman is taking the time right now to portray this very thought. Every game will be a challenge. Not saying a challenge you back away, but realizing you're acknowledging what is in front of you, the task at hand, and you move forward in the proper way to make sure you are doing everything in your power, everything you can do to make sure that you realize this is a challenge. The team that you're going to be playing is going to be challenging you. The team you're going to be playing is going to bring everything they got. They want to upset Ohio State. Yes, it is still the basketball, not the football. But the opposition tonight is not a team that Ohio State should be in a close matchup with. It should not be like that. Penn State has talent, but Ohio State is better. If they go into this and play down to their opponent, yeah, you may say it's a challenge, but your play is telling me I don't know what kind of challenge this is. I don't know what to expect. I'm looking for players like E.J. Liddell, Malachi Branham, Jamari Wheeler playing against his former team. Looking for players such as Eugene Brown III to step up in a huge way. Oh, you know who else? We'll talk more about him in a second. Joey Brunk. I have some special thoughts, words for Joey Brunk. I never talked to the young man. I've seen him play basketball numerous times. High school, college, he has impressed me at times. I've been down on him coming to Ohio State, but he has been a big piece of this team of late, and he's going to need to be a big part of this team tonight. Ohio State, know this is a challenge. Accept the challenge, tackle said challenge, and move on to live and play another day. The luxury for you, you're going to the NCAA tournament. It's a luxury. Penn State needs to win this tournament to get there. They know what's at hand. John Harrer from Penn State does not want this to be his last game in college. He's going to bring all he has. He understands the task at hand. I hope the Buckeyes do. I love that their leader knows and is expecting a challenge in every game. Now it's for him, his coaches, and the players on the team to be able to know how to put a proper game plan together so that Ohio State can move forward and win tonight. Quote, every game will be a challenge, end quote, directly from the coach's mouth. I'm glad that he knows it will be a challenge. We'll see how properly the team is prepared for said challenge when they take the court tonight to face the Penn State Nittany Lions. Once again, I want to thank everybody out there for making Locked On Buckeyes their first listen of every single day. Make sure to check out our Locked On Bracket Breakdown. March 14th, right here on the Locked On Buckeyes podcast feed and YouTube channel. College basketball experts Chris Gordy and Andy Patton and betting expert Lee Sterling give you in-depth breakdowns on every single matchup. Ohio State got them brooms out this year when they played Penn State. They beat them once. They beat them twice. Jamari Wheeler was called a traitor, and he still left that gym victorious at the end of the day when he went back to Happy Valley. Fans there said, traitor, traitor. You know what Jamari Wheeler did? He put up that W, smiled, and walked right by him. Now, I don't know if he literally did that, but it would have been funny if he did. I mean, I love those times that fans and players have a healthy back and forth. You call me a traitor, I bust a three, I'll look at you, put three fingers up, and go to the other end of the court. I am here for that level of pettiness. I was at a basketball game recently. I may have mentioned it here on this podcast, and I talked about how the student section at a high school, they put up newspapers, and on the newspapers, it spelled out, of course, students all across the rows and all in front of that section. We don't care. Every time a new player was announced, they said, we don't care. It was right there for you to read, and you could audibly hear, we don't care. I'm here for that level of pettiness. Sweeping a team, rubbing things in the face of your opponent, I'm here for that. You know what I'm also here for? Ohio State taking care of business tonight. That's the only task at hand. The only one. You go to Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Indianapolis, Indiana. Ohio State knows what's needed to get to the conference championship. They were their conference tournament championship game. They were there last year. Really, really close to beating, I believe it was Illinois last year in the Big Ten conference tournament championship game. A little bit too late, a little bit too much from Illinois, and not enough from Dwayne Washington Jr., who played phenomenal last year in the conference tournament. Well, if Ohio State wants to win tonight, what is needed from them? Before we can know what's needed, let's look at a little injury update, because there are a few Buckeyes, Zed Key, Kyle Young, Michi Johnson, that have missed time lately, and guys that will need to be big if they're able to play tonight. Kyle Young has been ruled out for tonight's game. It's unfortunate. It's not good. Not a fan of it. But concussion, there's concussion protocol. Some of you may have seen what Travion Henderson had to say about the concussion he suffered in this past season. Originally, he said that he got a concussion in the game, but he kept coming in and out. Then he clarified his statement saying he never played in a game with a concussion. He always cleared protocol before going back in. Concussions aren't good. They're not good at all. Protect himself, Kyle Young, a new dad. And if he can't play due to health, concussion, so be it. Sit out. And that's what he's doing tonight. Michi Johnson, however, is playing. And then Zed Key, he is a game time decision. With that in mind, specifically on Zed Key and Kyle Young, Joey Brunk is going to need to be big tonight. If Zed Key does play, if he doesn't play, it does not matter. Joey Brunk will need to be big. John Harrer has said, the big man from Penn State, he does not want this to be his last college basketball game of his career. He is not ready to hang up the shoes. He is not ready to stop putting on a collegiate jersey. And you know what that means? Joey Brunk, who is not known for his physicality. He is not known for hitting the weights very hard. He is not known for those things. He's 6'11", 250. Use all of that frame that God gave you, because John Harris is coming in to bully you all game long. Not just Joey Brunk, but the entire team. Don't be afraid to be physical. Now, I'm not saying don't get in there and start roughing them up like you're a linebacker trying to take down the running back. I am not saying that, even though that would be kind of fun to watch. Funny to watch on the basketball court. Bring a proper level of physicality tonight, because you're going to need to. Penn State's not going to back down from you. No, sir, Bob. Penn State's going to do everything they can. Another thing you can do that I noticed, not only being a different level of physicality, but Jalen Pickett last night for Penn State, he played the entire game. All 40 minutes in last night's game against Minnesota, the 9-point win for the Nittany Lions. Seth Lundy played 37 minutes last night, and then off the bench, Sam Sessoms played 30 minutes. Sessoms had 14 points and 5 rebounds. Seth Lundy had 11 points and 4 rebounds. And then Jalen Pickett, I almost said Lance Pickett, I don't know why. Jalen Pickett had 22.7 rebounds, 4 assists. Where are their legs out? Now, I know the transition and sometimes running up and down, it might not be ideal for Ohio State at times. Sometimes they get sloppy, turnover prone during that time. Make sure you wear their legs out. Wear them out every time you have the ball. They're going to be exhausted. You have the chance, the opportunity to take advantage of this team who is coming off a game where they played basically 24 hours prior. You know how it was at AAU and in high school when you're playing games and you don't get much rest before the very next game. When I say much, I mean like a day between games. This is what's happening right now with Penn State. Wear their legs out. Ohio State also will need to rebound. This goes to the level of physicality. If Ohio State just does their job and does what they do best, playing basketball inside out, playing through Malachi Branham and E.J. Liddell, not in that order, but maybe it will be that order at some portion during the game. Player game is good, but also some of the issues with rebounding have been huge, have been alarming, and have been sometimes eye-popping, concerning. Rebound the basketball, not just on the defensive end, but I'm not looking to go through 10 minutes of play again and to have a tweet that comes out there and says, well, Ohio State played 10 minutes and has 0 offensive rebounds. I am not here for that mess. I'm not. I am not here to see Ohio State really falter and fall and stumble because I can't rebound the basketball. Now, once again, we talked about Joey Brunk earlier. Yeah, he needs to be more physical. How sometimes that baby hook that he has down there in the post, left hand or right hand, primarily right, but he has been working on the left. Put that into practice. Well, why am I putting such an emphasis on Joey Brunk and not putting it on Liddell and Branham? Because I do think Brunk is going to be huge in this game. I don't know what I'm getting from Zedke. I don't even know what I'm getting from Michi Johnson. Sometimes you don't get much from Michi, but I don't know what I'm getting from Michi Johnson tonight. But one thing I can do, and I can know, if Brunk brings the energy, it's going to be a trickle-down effect, and the other players on the team will want to bring the energy as well. A tournament level of energy and effort is needed. Absolutely needed. Not none of this, oh, it's the third game in 5 days. I'm going to lower my energy and effort in this game. No, we're not doing that. Bring the energy and effort tonight. You do that, you play your game, you play more physical. Joey Brunk does his job. You rebound the basketball. You wear out the legs of these Penn State and Nittany Lions who just came off a game last night. You're going to win the game. If I was a betting man and I was putting money on this game, I'm picking Ohio State. Now, as far as the game on Friday, if they win, we'll discuss that tomorrow. But for right now, the task at hand, Ohio State versus Penn State, Ohio State can win. They should win. Will they win? We got to wait till tonight to find out. The YouTube subscriptions keep coming in, and that's a testament to you and what you guys have been doing to help the YouTube page grow. Everyone right now, unless you're driving, get out your phone, go to YouTube, the app, search Locked On Buckeyes. Just how it sounds, Locked On Buckeyes. Go to the page, hit the page, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you're notified every time a new video goes live. Hit the like button on this video and leave a comment in the comment section. I don't care if you disagree with me. I don't care at all. Leave that comment. Let me know that you're using your brain and you're listening to the podcast and you differ on something that I say. Do it. It's fine. We're humans. Having different opinions is A-okay. And I ain't got no problem with it. None whatsoever. But go ahead. Go to the YouTube page. When we get to 1,000 subscriptions, there will be some guests that I'm hoping to have on the podcast. That'll be more of a milestone thing, an achievement of the podcast. And you are rewarded, yes, you, with hearing some thoughts from people that you love from Ohio State Athletics right here on the Locked On Buckeyes podcast. When Sevyn Banks ended up entering the transfer portal, it may have shocked you. It may have stunned you. May have even startled you. You may have been someone saying, whoa. I was expecting Sevyn Banks to be on the Ohio State football team in the fall. I was someone that was expecting Sevyn Banks to be in the rotation for Ohio State. Now, granted, Cam Brown, Denzel Burke, those are the starting corners. Would it be a nickel corner? No, Tanner McAllister came in, so that's a different role anyway. That's a safety role, not a cornerback role. So where would Sevyn Banks fit in? I would love for him to be at Ohio State. Maybe entering the transfer portal was ultimately the wisest thing for him, which I do think it was. But what led up to him entering the transfer portal? Austin Ward from Letterman Row ended up getting a little insight. I'm going to read this word for word. I don't really read things this long in regards to things from articles that are there. But I'm going to read this word for word, and you're going to get a little insight. We are together going to get some insight into what led up to Sevyn Banks entering the portal. We talked about how Ryan Day met with Sevyn Banks' family prior to him announcing that he was going to enter the portal. But there were some more details that were going on even before the season that affected Sevyn Banks during the season, right from Austin Ward from Letterman Row. Sevyn Banks had his intentions clear that he was going pro all throughout the season. He participated and walked on senior day. He was dealing with a significant hip injury. That's what kept him out the last 2 weeks of the regular season. That's what kept him out of the Rose Bowl. He was still intending to go to the NFL draft. He received an invitation to the scouting combine. After he got some feedback in the actual severity of the injury, which was compared to Bo Jackson's hip, he said, well, it may be in the best interest of Sevyn Banks to try to come back. Well, he wasn't enrolled in classes for Ohio State when the semester started. Ohio State, their scholarship situation, they had already moved on because they had been consistently told that Sevyn Banks would not be part of the roster moving forward. There was a conversation in February with the Banks family and the Ohio State coaching staff, and they laid all that out. You can try to file an appeal and a waiver because you are not enrolled in classes to try to get into Ohio State if you want to do so. It's going to be hard. There's no guarantee. Also, his health may not even allow him to play next year. So he entered the transfer portal. To the best of my knowledge, he has not found a place to play. That's going to be the hardest part because nobody knows when he's going to be able to play on that tip. Here's something that I think is very interesting about this situation. Sevyn Banks was on numerous mock drafts prior to the start of the season. Ryan Roberts from RiseandDraft.com, he was on here recently before the combine, and he was on this podcast talking about, and I said I could see Sevyn Banks having the potential to be a first-round draft pick. Now, granted, it would be major growth. It would be major stability on the football field. A lot of play that we haven't seen consistently from Sevyn Banks, but I thought there was some type of growth potential that's there for Banks to be a first-round pick in the upcoming NFL draft. Ultimately, that didn't happen. He did not play consistently this year due to injuries. And having that kind of mindset when you're always telling people, I'm going to the league. I'm not going to be at Ohio State anymore. I'm going to the league. And Sevyn Banks having that and being that bold, I get you're bold, but there were certain things you just don't let come out of your mouth because you're getting your school paid for. If you're telling people that ultimately, I'm not going to be here next year, I'm not enrolled in classes, Ohio State's already over the scholarship limit, that may be a blessing in disguise. Not saying you want to lose a player, but we got to get under this scholarship limit. At one point, it was at 92 scholarship players. You can only have 85. And Ryan Day said things are going to work themselves out. Things are going to work themselves out. And that's what's going to happen. I actually worked with a guy that ended up recently starting the job. And I literally 2 weeks in, no, maybe 1 week, no, at least 2 weeks in, at least. I don't think it was a month. At least 2 weeks in, he started telling people at the job that he just got that he has an interview at another branch in this company where he could be a manager in another company, a manager at another job. Okay, great. You're driving over an hour to get to work. You've decided to do that, so be it. The drive would be about the same distance, so that's not a problem. But now you're complaining about gas money, and gas prices keep going up. I was planning on going this route, but it's pertinent for the conversation. You're complaining about gas money. You're complaining about gas. You're complaining about the drive, all this stuff here. You're not consistently going to work, and on top of all that, you're telling people at the job you just got, including people that are above you in leadership. I got an interview coming up at another job. Even to the point that this guy was so bold that he even texted a guy that was above him that helped him at the job when he first started. Hey man, here's how the interview went. This guy that interviewed me, true story. He's young, and I could tell that he was just going through the flow, going through the motions. Why would you tell your new employer you're already about to get a job or potentially get a job with somebody else? Why? Certain things you keep to yourself. And even if Sevyn Banks said, hey, I'm not coming back, you might want to backtrack those statements when you realize you're hurt, you're injured, and even with your recovery, you don't know when you're going to play football again. I mean, it's a luxury that Sevyn Banks got an invite to the combine. Because to be completely honest, I didn't think he earned or even deserved a combine invite this year. Did not. But Sevyn Banks kept talking, telling people what he was going to do in the upcoming year. Things kind of backfired, injuries, the mindset got him, not enrolled in classes. And now he's in a portal. It's kind of hard if I'm a coach, even if I'm a coach at, let's just say, a MAC school. Or let's just say I'm at a high level, North Dakota State at the FCS level. Let's just say I want to go get Sevyn Banks. And Sevyn Banks said, okay, cool. I'll go to FCS school that wins national championships. That's great. That's perfectly fine. But they want to get a medical. And they want to know, like, what will you play soon? What's the deal? And you're saying, well, last report I got, I'm not cleared. I don't know when I'll be cleared. Great, son. If you get cleared soon, let us know. because at that time, that's perfectly time for us when we will be able to know if it's proper for us and right for us to pluck you out of the portal. He's young. He'll learn. Hopefully he'll learn. But that's a little insight into what happened with Sevyn Banks and some things leading up to him entering the transfer portal. Guys, Buckeye basketball is back tonight. It should be a win. I've been down on them, but it should be a win tonight. We can all watch it, maybe stay up late a little bit, and enjoy some Buckeye basketball. I'm looking forward to it, and I sure hope you are too. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. You can send all of your emails to jstevens317 at gmail.com. Thank you for making the Locked On Buckeyes podcast your first listen every single day. Now make your second listen of the day the Locked On NFL Draft. Ryan Tracy and former NFL cornerback Eric Crocker bring the NFL Draft to life every day with insight and analysis on college football prospects and NFL front offices. It's free and available, just like the Locked On Buckeyes podcast, wherever you get your fine podcast. Guys, it's a Thursday, one more day in the work week, but there's basketball on right now. There's basketball on all through Sunday. The big dance is next week. Let's enjoy this time of year. Basketball is here. Basketball tournaments are going. They're dominating the conversation, and I love it. I hope you do too.